Hiya, it's the Sport Tea. I'm Josh Sexton, spilling the tea behind the biggest stories in sports. My team, the Los Angeles Clippers, are part of an NBA investigation for allegedly circumventing the salary cap in order to pay Kawhi Leonard via a no-show sponsorship deal for a tree planting company called Aspiration. There is every chance that this story turns out to be true. There is every chance that the Clippers or Kawhi Leonard are punished for their alleged involvement in this story. But I have a few big issues with the reporting around this story, so let's get stuck into them over a brew. Yeah, so this story first broke on September 3rd via athletic journalist Pablo Torre on his investigative journalism podcast, Pablo Torre Finds Out. So the original accusation is exclusive. Kawhi Leonard signed a $28 million endorsement deal for a no-show job with a fraudulent tree planting company funded by $50 million from Clippers owner Steve Ballmer, according to documents obtained by Pablo Torre. It was to circumvent the salary cap, which is in speech marks, I should say, for the benefit of the tape, an inside source says. The inside sources that Pablo has are 7 former Aspiration employees. They are the ones who allege that this was salary cap circumvention. They are the ones that say they have knowledge of the behind the scenes of this deal. And, you know, who are we to doubt the former Aspiration employees? The Aspiration CEO has since been found guilty, or at least pled guilty. Allegedly, I should just throw in there just in case he hasn't. But has allegedly pled guilty to a fraud, to a corporate level fraud of this company, Aspiration, which is not a tree planting company at all. The accusations from Pablo and these former Aspiration employees are, or at least the insinuation from Pablo, if not the accusation, but the accusation from the former employees, is that the Clippers used Aspiration and this no-show thing that they knew was going on to ensure that Kawhi Leonard was able to be paid above what the Clippers could pay him under the salary cap. I don't want to question the integrity of Pablo Torre or the information he has got. I have theories about why the information partly falls down in some areas, which I will try and get into as this goes on, if I can remember to, because there are so many different strands to this story. And I want to say that straight off the bat, that I am no expert on this. I can't cover every corner of this because I'm no expert on the sort of business of these things. I am a qualified journalist myself, so I can offer my thoughts and opinions on, the journalist in this case, which is Pablo Torre, and my views on him as a fellow journalist, as a member of the credential media at several big sporting events in the past. I believe there's something I can offer insight into, which is why I wanted to share it here over a brew with you on the Sport Tea. So let's get stuck into a couple of these threads of things that I am thinking about. One of the big things that I want to start with is the sort of one-sidedness of this story, really. Again, not questioning Pablo's integrity, definitely not questioning the information he's got. The information may come to light that it is completely true, that the Clippers have circumvented the salary cap. That's what they're currently under investigation for by the NBA. That may all well come out to be true. I can't profess to know either way what's going to happen with that. It could be that, which is a thing that Mark Cuban has sort of brought to light in reply to Pablo Torre. Mark Cuban, of course, the former Dallas Mavericks owner. What he has brought to light in response to Pablo Torre is that maybe the Clippers and Steve Ballmer didn't know about this at all, and actually it was just Kawhi Leonard and his pesky uncle Dennis, who has been a part of stories not necessarily similar to this in the past, maybe not on the scale of this in the past, but certainly been involved in some strange dealings around Kawhi Leonard, particularly when it comes to injuries and things like that. So people already not a big fan of Uncle Dennis. The San Antonio Spurs fans will definitely not be big fans of Uncle Dennis within all of this. However, my issue, it will always come back to the one-sidedness of this story. 7 former Aspiration employees that Pablo has interviewed for this investigation have put on record that they believe this is salary cap circumvention. The one thing I would say is that those people, while they may be experts on the dealings of Aspiration, things like that, are definitely no experts on salary cap circumvention, or at least I wouldn't assume. Maybe I shouldn't assume too much than this, because it's literally what I'm about to say that Pablo shouldn't do as a journalist. However, getting one side of the story with 7 former Aspiration employees is something that I believe leaves Pablo open to questions about his information. So that's one strand of this. The other strand is the questions around Pablo's integrity within this as a journalist, because it's one thing that I'm not going to necessarily question, but when this story first came out, Pablo put a screenshot of him with the eyes emoji, I believe it was, and Kawhi Leonard's name trending on Twitter. So clearly enjoying the sort of clout this was getting, Pablo. However, I would understand that if it was Pablo Torre's name trending on Twitter. I don't necessarily understand it as much when it's Kawhi Leonard's name trending on Twitter. Kawhi Leonard is one of the best basketball players of all time, really. Definitely one of the best basketball players that exists currently in the NBA. So he is going to be a big name when things come out about him. It is going to make news, believe it or not. Pablo has already celebrated the fact that his information and his level of journalism within this has led to 3 active investigations, one obviously being currently carried out, I should say, by the NBA. So that is something that he, of course, can be proud of if he wants to get to the truth of the matter. However, when lined up alongside the eyes emoji and the Kawhi Leonard thing, I'm almost not surprised that some people are jumping straight to questioning his integrity and whether he's just a clout chaser within this, because that is what you open yourself up to if you're just celebrating the fact that the person you're accusing of things is now trending on Twitter. So that's another strand of this for me. To continue on that sort of on that point, really. Pablo Torre accusing Mark Cuban of being a stan, or at least putting the sort of stan meme of Mark Cuban for the last month, whenever Mark Cuban has battered back against his information. When Clippers fans have come out and battered back against information, as they are wont to do, they have a declared bias in this, as I do. I've literally worn the hoodie today to make sure that my declared bias comes through well within this, because I understand that I do have bias within this because I am a Clippers fan. I have been since 2013, so obviously I'm going to want my team to come out of this completely unscathed, and even want Kawhi Leonard to come out of this completely unscathed, as much as I don't believe that matters too much to the future of the LA Clippers, because Kawhi Leonard will probably only be here until next summer now, if at the most the summer after, once the Clippers get off that contract. So probably won't mean a great deal for me and my fandom, but I want to declare it because when Jamal Christopher came out and criticised, and Jamal Christopher is a very well-known Clippers fan on Twitter. I'm sure if you're a Clippers fan watching this, you'll know of Jamal Christopher and his work. He's been part of LA Clippers marketing and things like that in the past as well, because he's very, very talented, good at what he does, good at just being an online presence in Clippers fan and adding to the discourse around sports. He's somebody that I'm a fan of. Declare my own bias there again. But Pablo put, "Is this you?" with a picture of Jamal Christopher with Steve Ballmer, and I think the caption for the Jamal Christopher tweet was "Met the GOAT today," or at least the GOAT emoji, and hashtag Clipper Nation, because Steve Ballmer has done great things for the Clippers. I don't necessarily celebrate billionaires or team owners, but Jamal is absolutely, if he's want to do that, then he's 100% fine to do so. I have no real issue with that. It's only my own personal thing, which will mean that I don't celebrate billionaires or anything like that. But he's a fan of the team. He's more than he's more than allowed to celebrate the fact that this owner has brought great things to his team. Has meant that the Clippers have been a playoff team for about as long as I can remember now. Besides the year that they fell out of the play-in tournament because of injuries to Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. So he's fine by my books, at least, to celebrate that. He declares that he's a Clippers fan. There's no hiding that. It's literally his pinned tweet. That one was Steve Ballmer. So there's no insinuations from Jamal that he is unbiased in this case. He is probably one of the people who is at least pointing towards the fact that Pablo has got a one-sided story here, that every time someone has batted back against him, whether it's been Mark Cuban or anybody else, and I'll throw Bobby Marks into this now as well, ESPN journalist Bobby Marks, who is again a very well-respected NBA journalist, ESPN journalist, when he came out and published his story saying that the NBA okayed the Clippers' aspiration sponsorship deal in 2021, which was around the time that Kawhi Leonard signed this extension, which is believed to be the one that triggered the salary cap circumvention investigation by the NBA. Pablo came back and said that Bobby Marks was a former colleague of Lawrence Franks, so there's an insinuation within that maybe he wants to just stick up for his friend and former colleague rather than wanting to get to the heart or the truth of the story. So every time someone has brought in a different strand to this, which is what good journalists do, good journalists go and find the whole picture for the story. If the story seems one-sided, a good journalist would go and try and find the other side of the story to see whether we can get any quicker towards the truth, particularly for the fans who, of course, are the ones who may ultimately be affected in this, which is the thing that I'm worried about as a Clippers fan. Every time that's happened, Pablo has batted back with further insinuation or just reportings of coincidence, really, because there's been loads of that within this one-sided story of Pablo. There's been a lot of, is this a coincidence that the money that's paid to him in this no-show sponsorship deal was the difference between what the Raptors could pay and what the Clippers and Lakers could offer, basically because the Raptors had the bird rights to him and the Clippers and Lakers didn't. It's 48 million short, and Kawhi Leonard was paid around 48 million for this no-show sponsorship deal. Pablo asks if that's a coincidence. Mark Cuban answers yes. There is every chance that yes, it just is a coincidence. There's every chance that it isn't. And again, there is every chance this investigation comes or brings to light that the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard are guilty of circumventing the salary cap by making this deal. Mark Cuban has come out multiple times and defended Steve Ballmer. He's been on Pablo's podcast twice now, once in person and once over a Zoom call. And stuck up for Steve Ballmer and the Clippers, saying there is every chance that this is all coincidence. The Clippers and Steve Ballmer are just victims of fraud, just as much as these 7 former Aspiration employees are. And actually, this is a nothing story on the part of the Clippers and Steve Ballmer, at least, but potentially a story sort of stage left on Kawhi Leonard deliberately signing up to this no-show sponsorship deal. And, getting his sort of share of this pie. That is not what Mark Cuban is alleging. It's more him saying that, maybe that is what's going on here, to sort of try and find an answer to Pablo Torre's persistent questioning of is this a coincidence? What is going on here? There's so much insinuation in this story from Pablo's side. And that's the problem, is when you only insinuate or ask if things are a coincidence, you leave yourself open for people to come out and find new information like Bobby Marks, so then you don't shoot those people down when they come out and bring new information. You continue to gather it up, and if you want to keep drip feeding the way that Pablo's done and bring more things to light that prove Bobby Marks' information wrong or anyone else's information wrong, by all means do that, but don't go around calling Mark Cuban a stan and accusing Jamal Christopher of just being biased because he is a Clippers fan and all these kinds of things, because that's not going to get you anywhere. It's going to open you up to more people questioning your integrity as a journalist, more people questioning your own bias as a journalist, really, whether you're just standing by your 7 Aspiration sources who, by the way, may have their own sort of bias or gain from within this. And that's one of the things that I'm always going to talk about here on the Sport Tee, is this idea of bad actors attaching themselves to sports for their own personal gain. I can't comment on whether Pablo Torre is said bad actor. I have my own opinions on it. I'm not necessarily going to share them here, but I'm sure you can take from my insinuations that potentially he is. I don't know whether he is just attaching himself to sports for this Kawhi Leonard story. This is the first time I've heard of him. Maybe he is a massive sports fan. Maybe he has a team. Maybe it's the Lakers. Who knows? We can all insinuate and make coincidence out of things if we want to. However, let's round up on this, because I'm always wary of going long on these videos. I want them to be a little bit shorter and more succinct. This is not going to stop now. The NBA will continue to investigate this. I'm sure Pablo will continue to come out with information as he goes and maybe finds more, or just whether he has more that he wants to continue to drip feed as other people and other parties and other sources bring differing information to the light. He is absolutely well within his rights to do that, just as I'm well within my rights to question when things come to light, as are Clippers fans like Jamal Christopher, alongside me, as is Mark Cuban when he wants to defend Steve Ballmer and the Clippers, at least. This is a thing that this could be a house of cards. Like there is definitely this does go on in sports. Like I don't think it's a great revelation to say that. We see it in football with sponsorships having at least tenuous, if not direct, links to ownership. We see it in football with sponsors that are basically on the surface of it completely fake, with holding page websites and fake employees and things like that. So this Aspiration deal would not necessarily be the first of its kind. In that sense, if it does turn out to be that it is a bit of a no-ship fraudulent company and deal, and the Clippers knew all about that all along, it probably wouldn't be the biggest surprise. I also wouldn't be entirely surprised if actually what this investigation brings out is that the Clippers and Steve Ballmer were just scammed by this fraud, as were 7 former employees of his who've probably walked away with nothing, because I've had people that I know and love be scammed out of lots and lots of money by fraudulent people involved in businesses that my loved ones have worked for. So I kind of can speak to some experience of that before. So, yeah, this is not going anywhere. I hope the Clippers aren't punished by this. If Kawhi Leonard is punished for it, I hope it just comes after this season, because he's a crucial part of what the Clippers do going forward this season. That's my own bias. I'm literally wearing it across my chest. So if Pablo finds this video and decides to call me out for my bias, then by all means, Pablo, let us know what your bias is within this, and then we can all have an adult conversation about it, I'm sure. But yeah, one-sided stories, insinuation, questions around coincidence are probably only going to get people questioning your own biases and your integrity within this. And again, that's not necessarily what I'm doing, but it's what people are going to do, because they are going to want to find out the truth within this story. And one day the truth will come to light, and I'll be really interested to see what comes out and what happens on that day. But we're always going to be fans of the truth here on the Sports Here, not the fake news, alt-right truth, as all those truth socialers and all those kind of people get behind, because that does not speak to my politics, of course, as I'm sure a lot of you know. But we won't get into political debates today. We'll continue to just question these things, that these stories that attach themselves to our sports, question whether they are just the result of bad actors, or question whether they are legit, and that we want to get the truth because we want to just be able to get back to enjoying our sports in their purest form. Of course, always here, we just want to enjoy basketball, enjoy sports. Thank you so much for enjoying this content. If you have enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. If you haven't, let me know why down in the comments below, or if you have any thoughts on any of the stories that I talk about in this one. If you've got thoughts on Steve Ballmer, the Clippers, aspiration, Pablo Torre, Mark Cuban, Jamal Christopher, let me know down in the comments below. I really do appreciate everyone who's been engaging with these stories, with these videos, so far, and the stories that I've been reporting on within them. If you do want to support me more than just leaving a like and subscribing, you can do that on my Patreon. I'd really appreciate it if you did. If you watch these videos or read my articles that come alongside them and want to hire me for copywriting or for narrating because you like my voice, my warm British voice, as I've marketed it on my 5, which friends have already skitted me about, which I've enjoyed, of course, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's all about putting yourself out there and enjoying the fruits that come with that, whether that is skitting or whether that is me being occupied in this new freelance journey of mine. You can do that over on Fiverr. You can hire my services over on Fiverr. That's fiverr.com, Fiverr with 2 R's, /Josh Sexton 24. You can find my Patreon at patreon.com/JSexton24. That'll be linked down in the description, as will all the links to my socials, but it's just JSexton24 across any platform that you can find me. Finally got that platform uniformity, which is a nice feeling. And yeah, keep enjoying sports, keep enjoying the content, keep enjoying a brew with me. I'm not drunk very much for it today, but keep enjoying a brew here with me on the Sports Here. Ice cold.